St. John's is going to be in the mix to win a national championship. Let me explain a little bit. So, I haven't watched The Godfather yet. I know I live under a rock, but I do know a little bit about it, and I kind of understand why Rick Pitino has garnered the moniker of The Godfather. I mean, first of all, he kind of looks like the actor from The Godfather, Al Pacino, a little bit. They showed a graphic on Fox Sports about it. Um, and The Godfather is about like Italian mafia in New York City, and Rick Pitino kind of gives off that vibe. You know, he's Italian and he's from New York City, um, and he's got the accent. He's been like The Godfather. Controversy has surrounded Rick Pitino. I'm not saying whether it's he did anything wrong or not, but he's been involved in some stuff. But he's also ruthless, and just like The Godfather, and The Godfather hits were performed on people, Rick Pitino and his guys aren't like the biggest well-known names, but they've been smacking people in the Big East. They just claimed a co-Big East title, a share of the Big East title, but let's be honest, they're going to cash it with a win tomorrow against Seton Hall, who's terrible. So they're going to cash it. So I'm going to be referring to them as the Big Ten or Big East champs, which would be really cool because St. John's hasn't won the Big East in 39 years. Rick Pitino, obviously, legendary coach, one of the greatest of all time. But he's back, and I dare say he is the best coach in college basketball right now. Hot take. But these four guys have helped him achieve the status as Big East Coach of the Year, definitely, and probably National Coach of the Year. They're 7th right now in the AP poll. If you would have told me that St. John's, after missing the tournament last year, I know there was some controversy in that, Ken Pom and analytics, but if you're on the bubble, you got to be prepared to miss. But they made sure they weren't on the bubble this year. They're number 7 in the AP poll. They're the 7th best team in the country, according to the AP. 14th on Ken Pom. Ken Pom likes them a little less just because they're not too high on their offensive prowess. But they got him at 14th. Still very respectable. 2nd in adjusted defensive efficiency. And it's because of these four guys. Now, I'll preface this by saying none of these four guys are guys that the average or below average college basketball fan would really know off the top of their head, like a Cooper Flagg or, Janai Broom. But these guys are just as important to their team's success. And if you watch them play, you'll see how exciting these guys are to watch. RJ Lewis, first of all, UMass transfer, I think 2 years ago. He played his freshman year at UMass. Pitino brought him over. UMass was Pitino's alma mater too, which is funny. And wow, he's just blossomed into an amazing player who I think could be an NBA player. I think he's a pro. He's their leading scorer, averaging about like 16 or 17 a game. Averages a lot of rebounds, can get some assists, but his specialty is that mid-range jumper, I feel, like coming off a screen, hitting the pull-up mid-range. He's like 6'7", like a 6'7" wing that can shoot a little bit, play good offense. Good, obviously, all these guys are really good defenders. That's the Rick Pitino way. But RJ Lewis is a dog. He's a dog for sure. All these guys are. But Zuby Ejiofor, so RJ Lewis I would rank him as the MVP of this team. I think he should be the Big East Player of the Year. You never know. I might go to Eric Dixon or Cam Jones, but I think it should be RJ Lewis. Personally, I just think it should go to the best player on the best team. But we'll see. I mean, you could make an argument for any of these guys as the most valuable player on St. John's, including Zuby Ejiofor. He's averaging like 13 and close to 10, I think. He's their big man. Played a year at Kansas, which I did not know before coming over to St. John's. He's very strong. He's everything I look for in a big man, just a guy, big, strong guy who can grab you boards and play really tough D inside. Then you got Davon Smith, transfer guard from Utah. This man is lightning fast. I just watch him fly around the court, and I'm so impressed with his abilities. Can handle the ball really well. He's kind of like their point guard. He doesn't always bring the ball up, but definitely a good guy to have. Like I said, Utah transfer. And then the North Texas transfer. We got Aaron Scott. Aaron Scott, another kind of bigger wing forward type player. Played a year at North Texas. Not too sure about his background. Should have done more research on that. But all I know is that he's a dog, and that's all that matters to me. He's a guy that can knock down the three sometimes, but all these guys are going to provide you with premium defense and hustle. And, even though none of these guys are good shooters, like all of them are quite bad from beyond the arc. Bad as in they're shooting a poor percentage. When they get going, this team is tough to stop. I mean, only a handful of teams can beat this team when they're hitting shots. Just how I feel. But the X factor of this team is one that I haven't mentioned yet. It's Kadari Richmond, the transfer from Seton Hall. Last year, he popped off at Seton Hall. Then he transferred in conference to St. John's for, I believe, his senior year. Rick Pitino said that he's one jump shot away from playing for the Knicks. If you get that compliment from your coach, I think it means a lot, and I kind of agree. Very strong. All these guys are very physical, strong, and athletic. Kind of like Houston a little bit. Just the way they compete, play defense. Not always going to shoot the best. Kadari Richmond, I think he's only shooting 25% from, or maybe less from beyond the arc. I think it's closer to 20%. Not great, but when you do all the things that Kadari Richmond does, and down the stretch, Kadari Richmond is so clutch. Gets to the basket, can hit the pull-up mid-range over taller defenders. Can guard, of course. Everybody can guard here. But he's their X factor. I think if they're going to go deep in the tournament, if any team goes deep in the tournament, they're going to need something to happen from a guy who, hasn't, played to their full potential in the regular season. And I think Kadari Richmond is that guy who there's definitely another couple levels to his game and what he can do on the basketball court. This is kind of their storied moment. When I think of the St. John's season, obviously it's going to be a success no matter what. They're not just here to be here and to win Big East season championships, even though it's very nice, don't get me wrong. But they're here to go all the way. I feel as if, you should be. But that win against UConn at UConn, obviously they slaughtered them in the Garden a few weeks after, but the win at UConn was kind of like a changing of the guard in the Big East. Obviously, UConn is incredible, won back-to-back national championships, and Hurley is, I wouldn't blame you if you kept saying that he is the best coach in college basketball right now, because he's kind of earned it. But it was kind of a changing of the guard in regards to the top dog in the Big East, and in my opinion, in the coaching circuit as well. Beating UConn on their home floor. St. John's players. It was a great game. The St. John's guys just kind of wore them down. throughout the game. Played really good defense. Like, they're the only team that I've seen stop some of the Dan Hurley sets that they run with all the screening and cutting. It was just incredible display. And yeah, I just really love watching the St. John's team. But I think that win against Connecticut, Hurley, another Northeast guy who is phenomenal, beating him, beating the two-time national championships, winning the season series, and kind of just being like, hey, we're here. St. John's, I haven't been here in a while, but St. John's basketball is back, ladies and gentlemen. So sorry I can't quote any of the Godfather. I think it'd be a perfect time to throw in like a Godfather quote right here, but I don't know any. I haven't watched the movie, so it'd be a little disingenuous. But let me know if you're a St. John's fan. Please comment. Tell me how you're feeling about this season and what it's like being a St. John's fan. I've never been to St. John's before. I know it's in New York. But yeah, really cool place. Seems like. Go Johnnies.